Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another wheaton series. I know there's more coming anyway, but as we continue with our podcast, I wanted to introduce what we're all about. We are a podcast that covers a variety of topics from faith, enneagram, being a third culture kid, navigating adulting, and a lot of brain dumps. Before we get into the meat of this episode, hi, my name is Yehna.
Hi, I'm Jessie, and welcome to our 19th episode of
At
At
the
the
table.
Table. So, we've got a Wheaton series and a mini Wheaton series of the Wheaton series because we're confusing like that. I think as we
we
go
just
along,
keep
we're
we
like,
just keep adding more things.
clearly we don't have, we just have endless things to talk about within
It's,
one subject. So we
we're
have to
just
break it
like a
down.
walking disclaimer because we just cannot get deep immediately because we're so scared. LOL.
We're like easing into different topics and we're like, let's do like a pre-episode of this and a
The
pre-episode of
episode of I
that.
love it.
Because we're basically just avoiding it, but also just prefacing and
I
again,
love
giving
it.
disclaimers. So this is a pre-sneak peek to our experience with our actual majors.
I love it.
So this is a little Wheaton redos series. So we'll have a bunch of episodes where we're like, oh, if we could redo this, what would we do? So
Right.
today's is going to be about our major.
I love
Um,
it.
so we're gonna talk about answer questions of like, okay, if you were to choose a different major, what major would you do? Does it really matter if you choose the degree or if you use your degree?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this would be super helpful for people who are still in high school and thinking about college, or even if you're adults and you're our age, it's something fun to think about if you
Right.
choose a different path. What would you choose? So let's get started. I feel like back in college, maybe freshman or sophomore year, like figuring out your major and deciding and declaring your major was such a huge deal, especially if you go to a liberal arts college.
So big.
It's all about, you got to take your gen ed courses first. And that's what helps you set the tone for like what you're more interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like other universities, you kind of have to know what you're getting into and start
Right.
taking classes along your interests. But Yenna, how was it like for you as you were trying to figure out your major? Because I know you switched majors halfway
Yes.
through.
Yes. So like any typical Asian American, I came in as a bio pre-med. LOL.
Ooh.
I know, so fancy. What a joke. For me, not for everyone. I meant me. But I went in really just have my life planned out for 20 plus years. I came in really having my hopes up. Long story short, it was completely obliterated. And so I was really navigating switching that into a different major. And so when I came to education, I remember we have a process where we're already given an advisor. So I had to walk to my bio advisor and tell her I'm switching my major. I had to get their signature, and then I had to get my new advisor's signature. It was like weirdly a whole process. And so maybe because it was such a process, it felt more dramatized and bigger in my
Mm-hmm.
head. But
Mm-hmm.
the idea of choosing a major felt like it was a matter of making it or breaking it.
Life or death. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
life or death. Like,
I'm
actually,
kidding.
I almost said life or death, but I'm like, let's be a little less dramatic, but thank you. For some reason, it was such a big deal. And in hindsight, it's just funny that I put so much weight on a single decision. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, you should put some thought and really process through it, but I don't think you need to depend your whole 4 years on that. So that
Mm-hmm.
was definitely my emotional journey with picking a major.
Right. And I feel like it feels very weighted because if you, for example, declare a major and then halfway through you want to switch it, you might not finish in 4 years if it's a
True. You're right.
completely different major that doesn't have a lot of overlapping courses that you can count towards that major.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that totally makes sense. And that's why choosing classes each semester was so important, or in looking back in hindsight, like at the end of the day, you're going to
So
be
true.
okay. But I think in the
Yeah.
moment, it's like, okay, every class that I take is going to count towards this or count towards that.
Right.
And I got to be smart about it.
Hmm.
So it makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially with education, there were more classes we took that did not overlap with other classes. For example, if you did like a
exactly.
science major or a math major or something in the STEM area, it overlapped with most of our gen ed. So even if you did switch, which is, I'm not trying to discredit the switching process and the emotional journey that takes, but there's a
Right.
lot of overlap, which where you can transfer those, or not transfer, but carry over those credits and like fulfill those tags. So that's nice. But with education, when you're in it and you want to switch out of education, it's basically like you're starting your 4 years all over again.
Like you have to decide basically by the second or third education course whether you're going to want to do this or not.
Yeah.
Because it's tricky to switch. And I know of people that have switched out of education too.
Kudos.
Um, kudos, yeah, kudos to you because that's hard because
So
if you're an
hard.
education major, you senior year, first semester is or second semester, depending on what college you go to, but you got to do a whole semester of student teaching.
Yeah.
And that's commitment, and
Mm-hmm.
then we did methods, kind of to
Ew.
prepare you for student teaching, but that's a whole nother semester too. So it's a lot of commitment. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I was going through is as soon as I took those first two education courses, like I knew this is what I wanted to do. But, I got a special ed endorsement, an LBS one, and that's also extra credits that I have to take. So
So
I was
true.
always wondering, like, what if I do all of this and like work my butt off and it's not what I want to do? Like, what if, is this the right choice? Is what I
So
kept thinking
true.
to myself every year, especially because, and I don't know if this is wheaton culture, but we were surrounded by people that were like, we love to be educators and we're so
No.
excited. And I'm like, yay. Do I feel the same excitement? I don't know. Am I questioning
No.
it? Yes. Is there other people that are questioning it? I don't
I don't
know.
know.
We don't know. So it was definitely interesting to be a part of that and more to
So
come
true.
in our. See, this is why we're prefacing. This
I
is a
know.
preface episode.
We we can't get there yet.
We can't get there yet, but that's, moving on. So, all that to say, I feel like a lot of people feel the pressure that it's going to make it or break it, like Anna said, but does
Hmm.
it really matter if you choose the right degree? What do you think, Anna? Because I don't think no. I mean,
Yeah.
I
It
have a lot of friends that have chosen a second career.
yeah.
I have a lot of friends that aren't using their degrees at all. It's okay if you end up
No.
choosing something different, but
Yeah.
what do you think?
First of all, I want to say kudos to the people that stuck it through freshman year all the way to now and is like in it and they love it. Or even if you don't love it, they are in it and they're doing it. And honestly, you are some amazing people. Diligent, perseverant. Oh my god, that's not a word, but you know what I meant.
Persevere.
I don't want to ever discredit that. That
Right.
journey to get there, y'all are amazing. Anyway, but for those who change it, I honestly, we shouldn't put so much emphasis on like needing to figure it out within the first 2 years of college. Because let's be honest, you will not, more than likely. And even I know people who do it, graduate with that degree, get into a job, and then later on realize they don't want to do it and they start over again. Guys, you guys are amazing. I don't know how you do that, but I think that's amazing. I don't think that should be defined as failure because a
Right,
lot of
right.
times our society would and say, you're going to do that again? Did you not just get it the first time? And so I think that was what I was so afraid of is that I wouldn't choose the right path. I didn't do the right major. I didn't take the right classes. I didn't do perfectly on my classes and my papers. But at the end of the day, it really matters like how will you be used in what you do and how will you make the most of your 4 years? And that's one thing I really wish I did is that I would have taken advantage of my liberal arts college is that
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoyed it to the full and
Mm-hmm.
explored what's out there rather than being so fixated on the one correct major, if that's even a thing. So
Right.
that's kind of where I come in. I don't want to discredit anyone's journey and whatever they take in terms of choosing a major. I think it is something that requires wisdom and discernment, but I don't think we should define it or choose it fearing failure or success, you know. That's what I want
Right.
to emphasize.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm so grateful that I went to a arts college. I mean,
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of people have different opinions about that, but some of my favorite classes from Wheaton ended up being non-education classes.
True, same.
It's so I just remember loving learning. And that was the
Hmm.
first time I had enjoyed learning.
I feel that.
And for that, I am so grateful. And again, I wish that we had more, there was more dialogue of like, it's okay if you end up not using your degree or like your 20s are all about figuring yourself out. I mean, I
True.
have a friend, shout out to you, you know who you are, who quit SPED and is now doing real estate. And I am so proud of her because she is
I love
killing
that.
it. Like to leave, especially, I don't know why, but especially in the education department. I feel like if you leave the education department, people know or like
Yeah.
people talk about it. And I mean, maybe that's from us being such a small Christian school, but I'm just so proud of her because she took that bold step to leave. And leaving was half the battle. Like
It's so
it's
true.
so hard.
Actually, more than half the battle. It's
It's
like
more than half the battle.
truly.
So kudos to her, but it's like, man, depending on what major you are, it's sometimes you can feel the weight of, oof, yeah, I put so much of my time into this and I'm not doing it anymore.
Right.
And it's hard not to feel like I didn't stick through it, but that's not at all how we should feel. We
No.
should be wrestling with this now while we
Hmm.
can wrestle with it, right? So
Right.
now it leads into our next question of if you could redo your major or choose a different major, what would you choose? So Yana, what
Mm.
would you choose?
I think, no, no, not I think, I do know. And I would have definitely either gone into psych
Hmm.
with maybe doing economics as a minor or even doing
Ooh,
a language. I would definitely have chosen Chinese as a minor because
cool.
I think it would have broadened my perspective, but also allowed me to pursue my passion. The biggest reason I chose teaching is because I still wanted to work with kids. I wanted
Hmm.
to be a bridge between children and the adults, and I wanted to somehow use that kind of as a broader tool. But there were so many other awesome ways that I could have done that. Not that I regret anything, but if I had the chance to go back, and not that I don't, but if I could do it again, I would have definitely chosen psychology as a major. It would have been really fun. And because reflecting back on all the classes I did love, it had to do with that. It had to do with like relations and had to do with digging through the past and how that affects us today, whether that was in history
Mm.
or you know, our theology classes, or even in, you know, if I was in statistics, but I would be in our devos, it would talk about relationships. And I'm thinking, that is amazing. I love that. You know, just different
Right.
pieces, bits and pieces that made me want to talk and made me want to stay put in that 3 hour lecture, and just realizing what pulled me into certain classes, no matter how early or late it was. I realized that it really all had to do with connecting families and relations and how past plays into our lives. And so just pursuing that, it would have definitely brightened up my experience in college.
I
Yours.
agree. And, you know, God uses everything. So there's a reason why we chose the path that we did.
True.
But I agree with you. If I were to be able to redo my major, I would totally do something like either sociology or sorry, no, social work. If
Hmm.
they had, I wish they had social work at
That would
Wheaton.
have been so cool. I definitely would have
Yeah,
done that.
social work or anthropology because I love learning about like why we are the way that we are.
Hmm.
And if I did social work, like I could work in nonprofits or I can work in a school setting. Like there's I think a little bit more options,
Right.
broader umbrella of what I could do. So I would totally do that. I wish I had taken some kind of like finance class because I don't know anything about
Same.
stocks and like
I wish I knew
anything related
that.
to money. I don't know. And I
And
feel
it's
so
so
out of place.
important. Yeah.
I know. I talked to my financial advisor and I am just a sponge learning everything. We obviously, Yana and I are both using our measures
Yes.
as of now,
As of
but we
now.
keep talking about how, you know, we are not going to be in this forever, and this is not
Yes.
our forever career. So even though we don't have the answers of what's next, at least what's something that we're looking forward to in the future,
Hmm.
with where we want to head in our lives. Like, what's our dream here? Yana, give us a sneak peek into where you want to head in the next stage of your life.
Yes. I know I've very boldly stated a lot of these in different episodes and also just processed a lot of this on our different episodes. So you guys probably have an idea, but I definitely want to work with TCK families eventually, somehow. I don't know when. I know I said I would love to do it this year, but the trajectory of my career, will be very honest with you, I don't know. But I really want to do it in the near future. Do go back to school and get my marriage and family counseling certification and licensure, and so that I can have the tools under my belt to pursue that, whether that's in a school setting for however long, or if I were to be able to be plugged in an organization, that'd be amazing. Or have my own thing, maybe with Jessie, pulling her in, even though she never volunteered to,
Signing me up for
signing her
whatever.
up. Overall, the big umbrella would be I would love to work with TCK families. That's just where my heart goes over and over again without fail. So, yes,
I love that. That's what made us want to start this podcast.
true.
So, going along with what Yenna said, I want to work with young adults and specifically TCK young adults, because I feel like there's not enough talks of how to navigate life post being a TCK. So, well, not post being you're always a TCK, but it's like, what does it mean to be a TCK and to function in this world?
Right.
So, that's where my heart lies. But I realized that, so God's been stretching me in this season to work with high schoolers because I absolutely despise middle school and high schoolers. And I've been doing youth group with high schoolers at my church. And every week, I'm just reminded I am not good with high schoolers.
LOL.
I cannot talk to them. And I have such little patience for them. And God's been really challenging me, making me realize like I've got my strengths and I've got my little weaknesses here. And
Hey,
it's
kudos to you.
okay. Yeah, I am very humbled each week. Whew, Jess, you're pretty friendly, but you are so awkward with high schoolers. I just don't know how to talk to them sometimes.
I
Anyway,
get
that's
that.
besides the point. I just love working with people to help them like discover who they are.
Yes.
I think that's where,
She does a
yeah.
good job. You do a good
I
job.
just love asking questions and I love wanting to know what got them here and why, again, why they are the way that they are. So
Mhm.
exciting stuff. I am
True.
looking forward to the future. But again, to just kind of wrap it up, although this is a redo series and, we're like, haha, I wish we did this. Haha, I wish we did that. Like, we're so grateful for where we are in our life.
Right.
And it's just nice to reflect on all the things that God has given to us in our life and all the
Hmm.
little bumps, even from
Hmm.
not being an education major to then being one. And hopefully, this will help us ease into our next episode about our major because this is something we feel very passionately about. So we're excited to, yeah, move on to that and share that in depth with you guys.
Yes.
Anything to add, Yana?
I really hope that more than anything, I hope this like conversation encourages people who may be feeling stuck or a little confused with their major or their career path or even entering into a new stage of life. Take
Right.
it one at a time, because it took us a couple years to come to a place where we felt grateful and we knew that God put us through that journey for a reason. So give yourself grace and work through it little
Mm.
by little. And so
Nothing goes to waste.
no, it really doesn't. I hope anything else, this would serve as a reminder that you are doing an awesome job. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you continue to stick around for what's to come in our wheaton series and other episodes. Thank you for listening, and please follow our Instagram and listen to us on Spotify and YouTube. And yes, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.